Nature Breakthroughs with Dr. Wild Ben Goldman. Conversations with changemakers in a world gone mad. To discover what you need for personal, organizational, and societal change, get your free download of 3 ancient rituals smart entrepreneurs use to bounce back from shifts in the market and inside themselves. Go to www.naturebreakthroughs.com.
Yes, you pull them till they bite down. On the lies that you built from my doubt. I don't want money, I don't want cars, I just want to be free.
Well, welcome, Kimberly Hobscheid, to Nature Breakthroughs, Conversations with Changemakers in a World Gone Mad.
I love it.
You're the founder of Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel, right?
Correct.
And a 6-time entrepreneur. And I want to ask you about all that. But my first impression of you is that you're absolutely fearless. Like you're the first person who I haven't had to ask to come on my podcast. We met and you immediately said, "I want to be on your podcast," and you scheduled an interview before I even had time to turn around. And so my first question is, how did you become so fearless?
Oh, wow. Great question. Well, I guess, there's a couple of things. First of all, as a naturally extroverted kind of person, I enjoy connecting with people, and that can be done in a variety of ways. But one of my favorite ways to connect with people, besides one-on-one and in person and enjoying their company, is actually to connect live on a stage, right? So, and that can be a virtual stage, like a podcast, radio show, TV show. It can be a web summit or some sort of activity like that, but a Zoom call, or it can be a live stage where you were actually in with a group of people when that's possible. So I do enjoy connecting with people, and I think that's the first key to being able to be fearless, is just enjoy the relationship.
Interesting. You're like missing the fear gene or something.
I don't know that that's true. Although I will say that, one of the things that I love about Brené Brown, who's one of my heroes, she did a TEDx talk, and she talks about courageousness. And she talks about courageousness being something where everybody has fear. We all have natural fears, whether that's a fear of being on stage, a fear of meeting new people, a fear of spiders, a fear of, we all have fears. But courageousness is standing up and doing it anyway, and going into the arena, even though you might get crushed when you get there, kind of thing. And so courage is the ability to reach down and do something, even though the fear is there.
And, my podcast is all about change on a societal level, a organizational level, personal level. And I guess I'm curious, just to get to know you, what's like the biggest change that happened in your life?
Oh, wow. Great question. So I had a big change about 6 years ago when I went, when I decided to change sort of the way my career was moving. So I, like probably many of your listeners, didn't start out as an entrepreneur. Although I am a 6-time entrepreneur, I didn't start out that way. I actually started out after I graduated from college. I did what they told us to do, and I got a corporate job, right? I started at the bottom and worked my way up, and got all the way into a position where I was an executive director at a Fortune 1000 company with a big multi-6-figure income, and I was really doing well according to everybody in my world. And then I just realized I was super, super unhappy. I had grown into what many people know as golden handcuffs, which means basically you're working in a position where you're making so much money that it doesn't make sense to resign, even though you don't enjoy it anymore. And that's a really hard place to be. And that is when the big shift came for me. So I actually plucked up my courage and resigned my position. It didn't stick. I actually resigned at 15 years, and I stayed until 17 years there. But because they offered me a different position, I ended up being training of my replacement. And then after 2 full years, we actually parted as really good friends. But I decided that I just didn't want to do it anymore. There was some politics that I didn't agree with, and I just didn't want to do only that for the rest of my life. So I resigned, and I went to my friends and family, and I said, I've had some small businesses on the side. And fortunately for me, I'd actually grown those businesses to the point where I grew them and sold them, but they were relatively small businesses. And so I wanted to grow a 6-figure business that could generate income for me on an ongoing basis. So I looked at my friends and family and said, what do you think I should do now that I'm a free bird, right? And they said, well, Kimberly, you were so good at what you did at corporate. Why don't you just do that? And I thought, that's a great idea, right? And so I decided to do that. And I created a company doing exactly the same thing that I'd done at corporate. And I had contracts, and I had client list, and I had employees, and I had a huge infrastructure of business, and I grew it to $1 million business. I had $1 million in revenue about 18 months later, and I turned around and I was like, wow, I don't want to do this. And I realized that I had created my own jail cell. And because now it wasn't just at employees, and I was responsible for their paychecks and their livelihoods, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And it was a huge, what some people refer to as a spiritual awakening, and what also is known as a breakdown. So I had a bit of a breakdown, and tried to find out what to do next. And this was the big change. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I went out onto a mountaintop, actually, and tried to find spiritual awareness of what I should be doing. And I didn't find it. And I'm not only an entrepreneur, I'm also a mom. So I came back home, and my 15-year-old son said, Mom, I've got a crisis. And I thought, great, somebody else's crisis to focus on, because as moms, we love to do that, right? So I said, what is it? And he said, I'm going into summer, and I'm 15 and a half, and I'm too young to get a summer job. And I'm too old to go back to summer camp because I'm taller than all the camp counselors, which he was. So I said, all right, well, you're never too young or too old to be an entrepreneur. So why don't we create a business around what's fun for you, around what you love doing? And so we put all the things he loved doing into Google, like any good parent would, right? And up came, why don't you be an audiobook narrator? And so we built a little home-based business around audiobook narration, and we had the most fun I've ever had building a business. It was like, I taught him stuff about how to manage orders, about how to get new clients. He taught me stuff about electronics and hooking stuff up and Instagram and all kinds of things. We had so much fun. And I realized at that moment that I would never build another business around what I was good at just because I was good at it. I decided that from now on, I would only do a business if it was fun.
So what can you give because I don't really know that much about your background. What were you good at? What can you give me a little more meat and potato of what
Sure.
it was you were doing that?
Sure.
That
When
you
I
were
was in
good at?
corporate, I was actually working in the staffing and recruiting industry. So I was working for a Fortune 1000 company, and we grew. I had offices from San Diego to Texas. I had a very large infrastructure underneath me, many, many, many employees and many offices. And we basically did staffing in the technical world for large corporations.
So you're that sounds like very much people work, like human resources. And
It is in one way, and in another way, it's really not, right? It's for me, it got to the point where it was just a matter of transactional work, finding a body that would fit this spot, and then it just didn't seem fun anymore. So yeah.
So tell me, what is the change that you want to make in the world?
Well, if I could wave a magic wand over everybody in Dr. Ben's amazing network, I would actually just say, from now on, going forward, make sure that what you do and what you invest your time in gives you joy. Because if it doesn't, in the long run, you're either carrying somebody else's banner, you're doing favors for other people, and you're not living the life that you're meant to live. Because we're all here for one purpose, and that's to create something amazing, something around what we love doing, and in our zone of genius. And so we've got to do things that give us joy in this world.
And so tell us, what are some of the things? And I hate asking questions. This is not the first podcast I feel like where I'm just asking questions, but I'm going to keep doing it until I find something where I have an opinion on that I can pontificate about.
Fair enough.
Get your reaction. But so tell us what do you love to do right now? Which I assume is one of your six or one.
Yeah. So I run 3 businesses now. I actually sold 3 of them, and I run 3 businesses. One of them is my audiobooks company that I started with my son, which is super fun. In fact, we built it so large that we had to teach courses to people on how to become an audiobook narrator, because we needed more narrators. We couldn't just do it all ourselves. So that was fun. And that gives me so much joy, being able to bring a book to life for people. Only 1 in 20 books is created as an audiobook, but about 2/3 of the population listen to audiobooks, and about 1/3 only listen to audiobooks, not reading books, and about 1/3 read only books, and about 1/3 will do either or. But when we bring an audiobook to life, and have it jump off the page and turn into a performance art, that is really the thing that I do with most of my day, though, is connect people. My job that I've created around my business is connecting people with stages and opportunities and other people that they need in order to get their business to the next level. I love working with entrepreneurs. I love being able to help more people help more people. Having the opportunity to get an entrepreneur who's struggling seen and heard and on a stage, and have more people find out about their zone of genius and be able to take advantage of their programs and products and services gives me the greatest amount of joy. I know what it's like when you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling, and your friends and family are asking, how's it going? And you think, wow, it's going fine. I'm working 1 million hours a week. I'm doing mostly what I love, and sometimes not. And I'm getting a little bit of revenue, and that's good. But a lot of entrepreneurs really struggle getting past that 6-figure mark. And if they do, they struggle even more getting to that 7-figure mark. And that can be very daunting and challenging for entrepreneurs. So helping them be seen and heard in a bigger way, getting the opportunity to scale their business and grow their business to the point where it's very successful and they're not working like a dog in it every day, is really an amazing it's amazing to watch that happen, that transformation take place with other human beings. It's very, very powerful for me.
Okay, can you describe that I have questions about the audiobook thing, but let's just jump into that. Can you describe what that looks like, but start earlier? Like, how do you get to what are the keys to getting to the 6 figures, and then what are the keys to getting past that?
Yeah. So getting to 6 figures, probably the biggest thing that the biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make in getting to 6 figures is not trying to do it all themselves, not getting help early enough. Oftentimes people will come to me and they'll say, I have a lot on my plate, and I know it's time to maybe get a virtual assistant or some help, but I can't afford it yet. At that point, you've already needed a virtual assistant for about a year. Generally speaking, you already need one. If you're actually at the point where you're thinking you might need one, you already need one. So my encouragement to entrepreneurs is go ahead and take the leap, and make sure that you get the help that you need in order to focus primarily on your zone of genius. If you're the person who likes to go to work every day and meet new people and bring new people into your program, then do lots of that, but don't fool around with invoicing and QuickBooks. If you're the kind of person who loves QuickBooks and invoicing, then you need to hire somebody that can go out and do sales for you. If you're the person that loves delivery and serving your clients, then that's great. You need to hire somebody to do the QuickBooks, and you need to hire somebody to do the sales for you. So that can be done in a variety of ways. It can be automated, it can be delegated, and it can be outsourced. I often talk to entrepreneurs who are not at that 6-figure mark, and I say, you need to get on the road to joy, ROAD, the road to joy. If you get on the road to joy, then you can get to 6 figures. And it's an acronym. R stands for relish. If you relish it, if you love being on stages, do lots and lots of that. If you love being in front of clients, do lots and lots of that. If you love doing invoices, and then you need to put it in one of those other 3 categories, O, A, and D. And that stands for outsource, automate, and delegate. So outsource would be finding somebody else to do it. You can hire a CPA, you can hire a bookkeeper. Maybe they're not full-time and a W-2 employee. Maybe they just do it on the side for you 1 or 2 hours a week. Or maybe they do it just at a certain time of the year, and they do all of your QuickBooks for you once a month, and then do your whole taxes for you at the end of the year. Awesome. That's a great way to outsource that project for you, and you don't have to fool around with that. Automate is if you're sending emails by yourself individually to people, that needs to start being automated, right? You need to have an automated system that's automatically going to follow up and do a nurture sequence with your people to make sure that they get a continuous stream of information from you, and you don't forget to follow up. So you go to a networking event, you get a whole bunch of business cards, or you go to a networking event, you get a whole bunch of email addresses, and then you don't do anything with them because you got to spend all that time sending individual emails. My suggestion to you is go ahead and send those individual emails if you have time for it, but also set up an automated process where if you forget, or if you get bogged down by other clients, or if you have too much coming in, then they're going to get some sort of still have their attention, that you still are there for them, that you still have things to give them, that they can take a journey with or without you through your system and program. So a follow-up sequence that's automated is really fantastic. Automating other things is a great way to get things off your desk as well. And the last one is delegate. And delegate would be to your own employees or a 1099 employee. So a 1099 would be like somebody who is dedicated, that maybe works in the Philippines and is your virtual assistant, right? You pay them through an invoice, through PayPal. They work for you 20, 30, 40, 50 hours a week. And they are dedicated to you so that you know you have somebody there to toss tasks to. I have had virtual assistants since I started launching as a full-time entrepreneur. I also had virtual assistants when I was in corporate. It was absolutely phenomenal to be able to say, hey, can you get this guy on my calendar? Hey, can you book a call with this person? Hey, can you make sure that this email sequence goes out? And just pass that task to somebody else so that I could focus on what I really loved doing. So outsource, automate, and delegate are my keys to being able to get to 6 figures.
I mean, there's an aspect of this that involves the fearlessness, because all of that costs money. And, if you're just
starting out
and these expenses of this road that you're laying out are more than the income coming in, when do you know it's worth investing?
A lot of people come to me and ask that. They're like, I can't afford this yet. I want to, as soon as I make money, I will be able to afford it. But the truth is that a year from now, you're still going to be in the same place if you don't start outsourcing, automating, and delegating stuff. What you need to do is find things that are the least costly alternatives to be able to get the most bang for your buck. An employee in the Philippines, just a virtual assistant, can be as low as $3 or $4 per hour. If you hire that person for 20 hours a week, you might be paying $200 a month in order to have that kind of help in your business. If you can afford $200 a month, you could have a part-time employee helping you do a lot of the tasks that you need to do. And the more you have this person work for you, the more you'll be able to offload those tasks. Now, if you don't think your time is worth $2 or $3 per hour, then there's a different problem altogether. That's a matter of self-worth, right? You've got to make sure that you know what your own self-worth is. If you're going to dedicate 20 hours a week for $3 an hour and do all of the tasks that somebody else could do for you, that's really a personal worth conversation that you're having. Not only that, if you do automation, then you can do like a ClickFunnels account and an active, no, I'm not endorsing these, but ClickFunnels and active campaign can be another couple $100 a month, and your nurture sequence can go out and promote all kinds of products and services that are automated no matter how many clients you get. And you can scale dramatically then. But the third one, which is actually outsource, is a really fun without actually paying money. So if you have a program or product or service that your folks need, like let's say I serve entrepreneurs, right? But what they really need is Facebook ad. Like they need to know how to do Facebook ads, right? I don't know how to do Facebook ads. I've never done Facebook ads really pretty much in my life. I've grown $1 million businesses without having a Facebook ad posted. It's not something that I know how to do. However, I have friends that have entire businesses that do that, right? So my clients may come to me and say, I want to learn how to do Facebook ads. So I say, I would really like to introduce you to Tammy, who is a queen of Facebook ads. She is absolutely phenomenal. And she has a program that's available for you at $500 in order to learn how to do Facebook ads. They buy her program for $500, and I actually make $250 on that if they buy her program. That's affiliate marketing or joint venturing or partnering with another person. And you can actually make money by outsourcing that work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, and that's how we met, was through organizations like JVIC that promote that kind of joint venturing. But I mean, I can tell you as I guess a struggling entrepreneur myself that getting those affiliate systems up and running, I find daunting, and not, basically they seem like a heavy lift.
Yeah, actually there's some out there that are really very, very inexpensive, very reasonable for creating affiliate links and web pages that you don't have to even pay a monthly fee for. One that I really enjoy is actually ThriveCart, and you can go to www.entrepreneursrocketfuel.com/thrive, and you can get my affiliate link for that. And it is a software program that's super easy to use, pretty much drag and drop. It's if you know how to use the internet and Word, you can definitely figure out how to use ThriveCart. It's a one-time fee, so you don't get a monthly fee, and you can create an unlimited amount of affiliate links to pass out to people who are interested in promoting your programs and services.
Well, I mean, when you reached that turning point where you knew that you weren't, what did you call it? Like a creating your own cell or something, jail cell or something like that. Was it easy for you to figure out what would bring you joy?
No, because I thought that creating my own business would give me joy. I really had no idea why I wasn't enjoying it, other than I knew that that's not what I was supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. I knew that staffing and recruiting, I didn't want to die with, hey, she was great at staffing on my tombstone, right? I knew that there was something else out there for me. And so I really decided to start doing things that were really, if it didn't give me joy to do it, I needed to find as quick a way to get it off my plate as possible. And so that's what I did. I set about finding the things that I loved that would make me giggle and laugh and have fun with people. And at the end of the day, feel very fulfilled and very happy. And if it did that, I was going to keep doing that. And all of the things that gave me frustration and aggravation, I was going to get those removed from my desk as quickly as possible. And now something that gives me frustration and aggravation might not give somebody else frustration and aggravation. For example, a podcast, right? I have a fabulous podcast. In fact, I have one that goes out on 5 channels. And I love interviewing people on my podcast. It's actually called Entrepreneur Experts Cafe. And I get to talk to people about how they grew their business. And it's super fun, right? And then after I record it, there's all that work that needs to be done, right? It needs to be edited. It needs pretty graphics. It needs that stuff in the show note. I don't even know what it needs. Like, it needs so much stuff. And all that stuff sounds horrible to me. But there are other people that it doesn't sound horrible at all to. There are other people who are like, I don't want to be on a stage at all, but I am really good at editing audio files. I am really good at making a YouTube channel work. I am really good at putting in show notes. And so you partner with people who love doing what you don't love doing. And when you do that, then the world comes together in a very glorious way, because you end up making tons more money. They make tons more money, and it really frees you up to work only in your zone of genius.
Well, I guess part of my, I mean, it feels to me like your zone of genius probably involves marketing, and very much it's easily translated into making money. And I'm not sure how you found how you found your joy, like figured out what it was. And I think what I'm doing is in that in that space. I like to help people find their joy, it feels like that's harder to make money from. It's hard.
Oh.
It's hard to the work involved in like identifying what brings people joy. I don't know. It seems like it's not as easy to translate that into a transaction, let's say, than it would be to say, I can get you on a stage, or I can teach you how to do an audiobook, or or many of the other things that you've said. I can do your post-production for you. You hear what I'm saying?
I do. So the first thing that I would recommend,
if it's more like, I get, for one of a better word, like more like spiritual work. Like how do you reach in and figure out if you reached, which was my turning point too. I reached a point where I wasn't getting joy. It was similar. I mean, it wasn't a Fortune 1000 company, but I was running a nonprofit organization, and I just wasn't enjoying anything. I mean, it happened to me several times where I just wasn't enjoying anything, and I really didn't know I didn't know how to figure out what I would enjoy anymore. And I tried everything. So it was just, it took me a long time, and it really felt like I was doing trial and error through lots of different personal development programs and stuff like that. And it kind of feels like it just came in through the side. Like it wasn't, there was no one thing that helped me figure it out. It just took time. And anyway, that seems to me like this mystery work, like mystery school type work. And which is kind of what my business is. And I'm having a very hard time even explaining what it is, but that's exactly what it is how do you find the joy that will propel you in life?
Well, I love what you do and how you show up in the world. When we met, one of the things that I loved about you is that you are Dr. Wild Ben, right? And you work with nature breakthroughs and natural breakthroughs and transformation. And a lot of people really, really struggle with that, just like you, just like me. It's a struggle sometimes to know what we're supposed to be doing here. And I think the problem is with that word supposed to. And if we transform that into what do we want to do while we're here? What would give us joy? What, at the end of the day, what would we be very proud to say that we did, but not just for other people, not like, well, I would be proud to say I was a straight A student, that's for other people. What transformation, what do you want to do in the world while you're here? We only have so many go rounds on this planet. We want to spend the most possible time we can on doing the things that give us joy. And the reason for that is because when we are in joy, we are helping other people find their joy. Other people are inspired by our joy. Other people want to be part of our joy. And that brings its own level of joy. When people come to me and they're like, wow, you are phenomenal on stage. Oh, I love your podcast. Oh, I follow you in your summits. It gives me so much joy to hear that they are getting joy out of that. And I know that when I did it, that was for me too, right? That I really enjoyed doing that. So if you stay in your zone of genius, if you stay in the zone of joy, I think that really allows people to like come to you like a moth to flame. And I absolutely love that. But the work that you're doing is helping people like me when I was on that mountaintop, right? When I was like, I'm here, I'm stuck, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. and I hate it. You know, like I did everything they told me to do, and I did it all the right way, and I made money, and I'm so unhappy. Like, I know for sure I'm not supposed to be here. And then you got to figure it out. You, in the work that you're doing, is helping people figure that out. How phenomenal is that? And when you start helping people figure it out and other people get transformation from that, then there's the testimonials. Then there's the opportunity to brag about, oh my gosh, Dr. Wild Ben helped me with this and helped me with that. And I am now a transformed person because I went through natural breakthroughs. And then the word gets out about how awesome you are. Then you get on stages and you start talking about how people have transformed working with you and what your transformation was and how you found your joy. The only trouble people sometimes have with that is what we call imposter syndrome, right? There are people out there who are phenomenal at helping people with relationships, but their relationship with their mom or their dad or their spouse is in turmoil right now. And they're like, wow, how do I help people with relationships when my own relationships are not all that great? But the truth is that we all know how to do things and we all know how to help other people, even if our personal situation isn't perfect at the time. So yeah, I try to live in joy as much as I can day after day. And there are days where I wake up frustrated or days where I end frustrated, like, I don't want to do that anymore. But that's an opportunity for me to learn and then help other people and share my story.
Well, let's take one example, just since you raised it, the audio books.
Sure.
That brings up a lot of, thoughts for me. One is where I live next to Manhattan. There's a lot of actors and actresses.
Oh, yeah.
And back in the day, before audiobooks, I knew a lot of people who were in the industry called voiceover actors, which I guess is what the precursor to what you're talking about. They I remember them telling me what a difficult industry it was, and that everybody thought it would be easy to be a voiceover actor. All you got to do is talk or something. And they were, it's a craft. And so how is this? How is this different? That's part of what I'm curious about. And then the other thing is that I'm an author, and the publishing industry is just going through so much turmoil. It's so hard to get anything published now, and it feels to me like just like the voiceover thing is a precursor to an audiobook, the getting a book published in the first place is a precursor to the audiobook. I don't know if audiobooks are published without a physical book, but how does that tell me a little bit about how that works, the audiobook world and that business model.
Sure. I feel like I'm confusing your audience because we're kind of all over the map with all my different companies. But yes, audiobooks are super fun to do. The world is in need of audiobook narrators. So if you are a voiceover artist, if you are a podcaster, I would love to talk to you. You can send me an email at Kimberly@entrepreneursrocketfuel.com, and I will get you a link to the next class that we have upcoming. I actually teach how to be an audiobook narrator and voiceover artist and make money doing it. It's a half-day class. It's super fun. It's one of my favorite classes to teach. I only teach it about 3 times a year because I just don't have enough time in my schedule, and I have to get a group of people together that want to all do that. But when I do and have a group of people, then I'll throw it up on the calendar again. The next one I think is going to be in September. I'm not sure. But if they send me a note at Kimberly@entrepreneursrocketfuel.com and just put that they want to learn about the voiceover or audiobook narrator class, I'll get them information on that. It's a half-day course, and at the end of it, you actually not only do you have information about how to do it, it gives you everything that you need in order to set yourself up as an audiobook narrator, and we have already given you access to be able to audition for thousands of audiobooks that afternoon. So you can start auditioning after the class that afternoon for audiobooks that are up right now looking for narrators.
So audible.com is like the behemoth in this world.
Yes.
So you're saying they have they're just looking for narrators and they're ready to hire people
after after you do the book, it will go up on audible.com and Audible, iTunes, Amazon. You can also, it's up to the author where they want to put it, but it can be on all those platforms. It can also be out on Overdrive, which goes into libraries. Google Play has audiobooks. So you can sign up as an audiobook narrator and audition for different books, and it could go out on all of those platforms. So yes, through my system in my class, we actually teach you how to be able to find the books that the authors have asked for auditions from narrators. And there's thousands of them out there right now.
So the successful business that you create with your son is more for people that want to do the narrating as a profession, rather than for authors who see it as another way of another medium for distributing their own work?
That company is actually called I'm Hearing Stories, and it's primarily for authors. If you have a book and you're looking to get it turned into an audiobook, congratulations, because you'd be 1 out of 20 authors who do that. Only about 1 in 20 books is created as an audiobook. So it would be awesome if you decided to create an audiobook. That would put you in the top 5% of authors. So great job. If you want to do that, go to our site, imhearingstories.com. You can check that out, and we would be happy to help you produce an audiobook. So the site is primarily for authors, but we also have narrators that come on there and they audition for books. We also have listeners that come on and look for new releases. So if you're an audiobook narrator or listener, you can check out our site as well. And if you are interested in the audiobook class, we would be happy to have you learn how to be an audiobook narrator. The primary business is actually for authors who want to create audiobooks. An offshoot of that, because we needed to find new narrators and train them how to read our audiobooks for us, is that we've started teaching that class.
Cool. And you said there's three. So those are 2 of your businesses: the Entrepreneur Rocket Fuel and the I Am Hearing Stories. And then you have a third?
Yes, I have all kinds of little businesses as well. But we also have a course that teaches people how to do web summits. So I don't really want to get into that unless you want to, because I don't want to distract your audience too much. But we have all kinds of different businesses. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun to run these businesses.
Well, so which business? Tell us more about whichever business you want to talk about.
Absolutely.
What's the biggest change you want to make in the world, and which business is it?
Yeah, for sure. It's Entrepreneur's Rocket Fuel. That's a very big passion of mine. And it's all about how to get seen and heard in a bigger way as an entrepreneur. It's about how to grow your business to 6 and 7 figures, to be able to give you what you need in order to get your business just the next step to the next level. A lot of entrepreneurs get overwhelmed. They want to be at 6 figures, they want to be at 7 figures, but they don't know the next step to take them there. And Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel is a community of entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs and experts get their business to the next level, whatever that is. And they may need help with advertising, they may need help with marketing, they may need help with finding a virtual assistant, they may need help with getting on stages, they may need help with figuring out what their signature talk would be, figuring out what their online course should be. They may need help figuring out what technology to use. And this is a program that it's actually a free community that you can belong to, and you can reach out and ask for help and offer help. If you have a service or a product that serves entrepreneurs and you're an entrepreneur yourself, come join the community at entrepreneursrocketfuel.com/Facebook. And you can join the Facebook group and start having the conversation with us. It's an amazing, it's something that I wanted when I became an entrepreneur and just wasn't out there. When I became an entrepreneur, I'd been in corporate for 17 years. As I said, 15 of them were good, the last 2 not so much. But one of the things that happens when you become an entrepreneur is you are all of a sudden on your own. You don't have a team of experts that are helping you. You don't have recruiters. You don't have an HR department. You don't have a legal department. You don't have an advertising department. You don't have a sales department. It's all you. And so when we created the Entrepreneur Rocket Fuel community in Facebook, it was designed to be that community, to be able to be the water cooler where you could stand and say, you know, man, I don't know what I'm doing today. I need help in this department or in that department. Or do you know anybody who can help get me on a stage? Or do you know anybody who can do anything with ClickFunnels? And that's what this community is all about, is helping each other get their businesses moving forward.
And tell me a little more. Well, I have two questions. One, you know, I'm such a skeptic and contrarian, so I can feel that's part of what's generating my questions. But one question is, of course, like, well, what are the stages that are available now, especially during COVID, and how does that help an entrepreneur? And then the other is, you know, one of my experience in joining these kinds of entrepreneurial communities, and there's some that are smaller and then some that are gigantic. It just feels like almost like this echo chamber of entrepreneurs wanting to sell each other stuff. And I can never I haven't yet figured out how to work those systems so that there's like where we've broken outside of the echo chamber to actually helping people that want our help, or working together to want our help, as opposed to just saying, I'm offering this, and they say, well, I'm offering this, and you're saying, well, I'm offering this, and they're saying, I'm offering this, and you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. So I guess those are my two questions. How can a stage break you out of the echo chamber? How do these networks break you out of that echo chamber?
Fantastic question. I definitely am happy to answer both of those. First off, we'll start with the stages. So the stages, we're on a stage right now. This is a podcast. We are broadcasting to potentially thousands of people that can hear you and I chat about what you need to do in order to be an entrepreneur. During this stage time, I've been able to share a little bit about who I am and how I show up in the world. And if people resonate with that, then they may come and find my website. They may find some of the downloadable freebies that I have available. They may want more information on my Facebook group. They may want more information on my audiobooks. And if they do, fantastic. They would go and check that out. Being on a stage can be a virtual stage. This is a virtual stage. A podcast is a virtual stage. Having an opportunity to speak about your business is basically, or about something that you're passionate about, is a stage. So we consider stages anything where you are broadcasting to a group of 2 or more people. And that can be a live stage that you're describing, like a physical, you're standing on a stage with a microphone in your hand and talking to a group of people in front of you. Or it could be that you're at a meetup group and somebody says, will you stand and introduce yourself? And you stand up and you say, I'm Kimberly. I help authors create wider streams of revenue and a new audience by creating audiobooks. That was something that I said on a stage, right? Now people can be like, man, I want to know her. She does audiobooks. That's awesome, right? Or I could stand up and say, I'm Kimberly. I help entrepreneurs get seen and heard in a bigger way and explosively grow their revenue by getting them on stages, virtual and live. Same thing, right? If you do that at a meetup group, if you do that at a library, if you do that on a podcast, or if you do that in a web summit or a radio show or a TV show or anything like that, basically you're on a stage. It doesn't have to be a physical live in-person stage, although it can be live. We're live right now. The second question, does that answer your first question about stages and how does that help entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And I will share with you that the last web summit I did, I actually had speakers from 5 countries and that were speaking. And to be able to reach a global audience like that was really fun and phenomenal. I was super excited about it. So that's stages, and your stage, don't limit yourself to think, oh, it's COVID, I can't get on a stage. You absolutely can get on one. That's what the phone is for. That's what Zoom is for. That's what the internet is for. You can absolutely get on a stage. If you can't find a stage to get on, you can actually create your own. One of the fastest, easiest ways to create your own stage is Facebook Live. If you get on a phone like this, you get on a phone and you do a Facebook Live and you're broadcasting to 2 or more people and they say, oh, 2 people people are watching you. You now have created a stage for yourself, right? And those people can watch afterwards as well. So Facebook Live is a great way to create your own stage. Just get on there, do a Facebook Live and be like, hey, I'm out walking my dog today. My dog is Rover, and we're having a great day out, COVID safe, with hanging out near the beach. Totally awesome here. I love being an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. And then you've created a stage, right? And you're talking about your stuff. So you don't have to do that. You could actually just talk about Rover. That's totally fine too.
Since we've gone here, tell me a little bit about the summits. Why are they such an important stage, and how do they work?
Yeah. So I have 4 summits a year called the Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel Web Summit. And I also have, I co-host several other summits. So one of them is Health, Wealth, and Wisdom. One is the Badass Women in Business Summit. We have other summits that are geared toward speakers. We have other summits that are geared toward direct sales. We have all kinds of solopreneur summits, all kinds of different summits that I co-host and I book stage time for. So getting on a stage on a web summit is a really phenomenal opportunity to get interviewed by an expert, get positioned in front of a new audience, and be able to share your zone of genius with the world and a little bit more about your company. So you go on and you would give content and share your knowledge and a little bit of your expertise, become the go-to expert. And then usually your host will allow you to share a website or a downloadable or something awesome that the audience can take away and be a part of and join your network in the future. So I love web summits. It's actually my favorite methodology right now in this time of COVID, because when people are shut down, they can actually tune in just from their laptop and be able to have human connection, see faces, and actually see the expressions on faces. It's a really powerful tool right now when we are social distancing and we're not able. Web summits are one of my favorite ways to be able to get in front of other audiences.
And you want to tackle I do. More skeptical question about the echo chamber?
Yes, I absolutely do. So what Ben is talking about is really something that's out there, and it's sort of insidious in the world, where you go to a networking group, and when you go, you're like, okay, I have all my business cards, and my job is going to be to get as many business cards as possible and sell them my stuff, right? That is like this horrible, gross, icky way to do networking or to do a virtual stage or anything like that. If you are a person who does that and that's your approach, I would send you a little cautionary tale when you do, instead of a serve mentality. So what I would encourage you to do instead of going there saying, my goal is to get as many business cards out as possible and get them to buy my stuff, start by thinking, I want to go out and serve as many people as possible. And that probably includes learning about them first, finding out what they need, and then serving them first. So if I meet Ben and one of the things he says is, I'm looking for guests for my podcast, I'll be like, awesome. I'd be happy to be a guest. And I know several other people that would be happy to be a guest on your podcast. I would love to hook you up, right? That's number one. If he says, you know what, I'm really looking for a community to belong to, awesome. I have Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel. I'll be happy to have you join the community and I'll approve you right away. If he says, I'm looking to find out more about, books, fantastic. I actually know somebody who does books. Can I introduce you to them and let you guys take it from there? So the first thing I want to do is make myself in a position of serving the other person in their needs. It's not really about me in the first conversation. So if you show up in a way that serves them first and you go first serving them, then naturally from that, they will come back to you and say, Kimberly's fantastic. Ben's fantastic. What can I do for you? You really hooked me up. You saved the day. What can I do for you? And at that point, you can say, I'm looking for stages. I'm looking for opportunities to talk to people about my products and services. I'm looking for opportunities to get in front of a wider audience. Do you know anybody who I can connect with? And if you turn that around and say, awesome, I'm really glad I hooked you up. Can you buy my stuff? You turn into that smarmy, icky person again. So just beware that you're not actually trying to, stuff something down their throat, that you're really just trying to serve. And when they say things like, well, Kimberly, what do you do? Then you can talk to them about what you do. And if they are interested, they will be magnetically attracted to you. That's pretty much what you talk about, is a natural breakthrough, having people have that experience of wanting to do business with you and magnetically be attracted to you. And if you are doing client attraction, that's completely different than doing sales, right? Standing up and trying to sell people stuff is a different come from than getting up and saying, what do I want these people to feel? And what do I want them to do after we're done?
So I have kind of two questions from all that. One is, I've heard you have like a secret formula for telling people what do I do. That's one. But I have another question, which is, what do you need now in your like success trajectory? Or that sounds a little crass. Let's say where. Like you come across not only as fearless, but successful, completely put together, like on the top of your game. What's your next, like, what's the change? Well, let's do that. What's the change you're looking for in your own world right now and in the world at large?
So what I would like to do is help entrepreneurs get seen and heard in a bigger way. That's the big change I want. It's so painful for me when I see an entrepreneur and they say, I'm a coach. I just started being a coach and I'm going to charge $100 an hour. And that's awesome. I mean, there's, positive thinking and, positive attitude and knowing your confidence is awesome. But sometimes that actually hides what's really going on inside, because we put on this armor and we're like, oh, I have to show the world that I'm perfect and everything's awesome and nothing ever goes wrong for me. And, like my business is fantastic. And that comes probably from our friends and family trying to get us back into a corporate job, saying, so how is that entrepreneurial thing going? Don't you think you should get a real job now? and
Are you still
right?
Are you still hearing that?
Yeah, well, sometimes fortunately, I've been in the business for a lot of years now and been able to build a business. So I don't hear that quite so often, but parents are parents and they're like, are you sure it's okay? Are you sure you're doing all right? So they just want the best for you and they want you safe and secure. And when you show up in a big way as an entrepreneur, you try to show up with all that armor on, like, I'm perfect. Everything's going great. My business is wonderful. But inside you're hiding stuff like, man, I don't even know how to use ClickFunnels. I don't really, like, everything's broken on my website and I'm trying to get new business and I thought I was going to land this new customer and I didn't. And they changed their mind and they wanted a refund and they wanted a different way to do it. And they went with somebody else. And like all of those, that struggle, man, that's real. Right. So basically, Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel is a company designed to help the struggling entrepreneur get their business past all of those, right? And each step is different for different people. There will be people who come to Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel and just like me, will never post a Facebook ad. And good for them, right? They'll do it all through networking, stages, business opportunities, partnering, without ever posting a single Facebook ad. Fantastic. There will be others that start in Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel and they're like, I have a course and all I want to do is automate it and post a bunch of Facebook ads and have it convert for me and walk the other way, right? Awesome. I don't know what your next step is until we have that conversation, or unless you know what that next step is and you ask for help with it. But that, for me, that's really my passion, is helping entrepreneurs get back past that icky part, like it's not going all that great and I need some help, to getting them that help and getting them to where they need to be. Because the truth is, if they're not being seen, they're being overlooked. If they're not being heard, their message isn't getting out there. And if they're not clear on their message, it's not going to have the impact they want to make in the world.
So it sounds like you have you've either found your joy or you're still very armored.
Well, there's days, I'm telling you. Of course, everybody has their days where, it's like, that just didn't go as well as I wanted. We all have those days. I've thrown a webinar and had 67 people sign up for it, 20 people show up, and nobody moved to the next level. That's painful, right? That happens. That's happened to me, in the last 3 months. That absolutely does happen. And it's just a matter of, I was off my game that day, pick up the pieces, move forward, do it a second time, do a nurture sequence, see if you can reactivate some of those people, and you just pick up and keep going. And sometimes it's passing the ball to somebody else. Recently, I had, a web summit where where it was a webinar, not a web summit, just one conversation. And we had 20 people on it and 2 people bought, and it was amazing. I was like, that's fantastic. One bought a small program, one bought a higher end program. And my partner was like, I bet we could get 6 more. And I'm like, how would we do that? And she said, well, we'll do this nurture campaign, and we'll do this, and we'll do this. And I'll call these people. And I think these people are just about over the fence. And when you reach out and have somebody that you can partner with and that can do it with you and you can have fun with, then you can just sort of let them take the reins on that and be like, this is my zone of genius. This is what I love doing. She went out and did it, and we had tons more people join the program because of her efforts. So yeah, there are times where I feel like things are going really well, times where I feel like things are really a mess. And when that happens, you got to reach out to community and get the support you need.
Well, you have a very inspiring story, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, Kimberly Hobscheid, and Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel. Any last words?
Yes. Be you. You're the only you can be, and everybody else is taken. So don't try to be somebody else and do all of what they do just to try to recreate it. Be yourself. Be genuine. Be real. Be as awesome and as broken as you are in all the ways that you are, and show up real. Because if you don't, people will do one of 2 things. Either they'll think, oh man, she's perfect, she's got her whole act together, and I could never be her. Or she's full of it, and she's not all that perfect, and she's lying. Why would I want to show up as either one of those people? So I have to be real, I have to be me, I have to be natural, and just show up real.
Well, thank you so much
for
being on the show. And
thanks,
I look forward to connecting again soon.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Nature Breakthroughs podcast with Dr. Wild Ben Goldman. To discover what you need for personal, organizational, and societal change, get your free download of 3 ancient rituals smart entrepreneurs use to bounce back from shifts in the market and inside themselves. Go to www.naturebreakthroughs.com.